What is up, YouTube? It's Kingfisher745, and welcome to my 6,000 subscriber appreciation video, also known as the 6K Q&A. Basically, in this video, I'm going to be answering a lot of questions that have been asked, and also I'm going to roll PvP footage in the background. I figure I'll go until I finish my 5 fights for the day, and don't worry if I do miss some questions. There will be plenty of Q&A sessions in the future. Now I'm going to get started in just one moment, but first I am going to be using the Nightcrawler and Dr. Voodoo team. This team will prevent your buffs from being removed, even by the scroll. So here the agent is actually using the scroll, and I'll show you that I still have all my buffs. This is due to the empowered ISO 8 which is on Nightcrawler, and it works very similar to the Mystic except it lasts for 2 rounds. So there it is, you can see prevent debuffs. And the reason why this isn't removed by the scroll is because of the team up with Dr. Voodoo. So I just wanted to show that because I have heard people say that the scroll removes it. It does not. I've never seen it remove it. As long as you have Nightcrawler, his empowered ISO 8, and Dr. Voodoo. But anyways, that's the basic setup for this team, and now we're going to move on to the question and answer portion. Okay, this is going to be incredibly long, but here goes nothing. The first question is, there are 4 blasters I haven't got or can't get anymore, but 4 more possible blaster slots for PvP bonus, and there are more than 4 heroes I can possibly make a blaster. What happens then? Alright, so basically what they're talking about is, there is a bar on your hero bonus page, and it shows a certain amount of slots for blaster bonus, or for any class bonus. And they want to know what happens after you fill that up. I can tell you that the bonus continues. Even if the hero icon can't be displayed, you still get credit. You can look at your attack bonus and it continues to go up. The next question is, what kind of ISO are you using for each uniform? Well, this question would take forever to answer. But as far as this question, and many of those ISO 8 questions you have, I have a special announcement for you. I will be working on an ISO 8 video. It's going to be the most involved and in-depth video I've ever made. I plan on basically including everything you may want to know about ISO 8, as far as the theories, the different camps between PvP, balanced, or PvE, what you may want to focus on, my own theories and thoughts, and basically just a ton of information. And the way I want to set that video up is to basically go through everything step by step, and then at the beginning, I'll have some sort of graphic, and then links to different parts of the video. So if everything works out the way that I want it to, and the way that I envision, then there should be kind of like a menu guide at the beginning, and you can click on it and go to any portion that you're most interested in. For example, if you're interested in PvP builds, you would click the annotated area that would be marked PvP section, and then if everything works correctly, that should skip through the video to wherever that section is. Now this may take a lot of time and effort, but I do think it's going to be probably my best video yet. I want to make it as detailed as possible, and also very easy to navigate. So it should be quite a long video, and I think it will answer most of your questions. At least that's what I hope to do. Now moving on to the next question, what is your favorite hero on every class? This is a question that I always struggle with because I usually like just about every character, and I like some more than others depending on what week it is. It really does change all the time, and then there's some characters that have alternates, and so I don't know if I should include those or not. But I'll give it a shot. Let's say for Infiltrator it's Nightcrawler or Elektra. And these are just my favorites, so it's not like who's the most overpowered, necessarily. As far as Tactician, I'd say Dr. Doom, and then closely followed by Emma Frost, and currently Moonstone. For Blaster, it's probably the hardest for me. I like a ton of them. Havoc, Cable, Nico, and Dr. Voodoo, I guess. I can't even pick a single one. For Scrapper, there's a bunch of Scrappers that I do like, and that are extremely powerful. Quicksilver's one of those extremely powerful ones. But no, I don't like him. But I do love Sabretooth. But if I have to pick one, it's going to be Deadpool. Bruisers, that's another really tough one that I like a ton of characters from. I'd start with Hulk, then there's Captain Britain, Juggernaut, Thor, Wonder Man, and even Heimdall. But if you made me pick my favorite, at one time it would have been Captain Britain. Right now I'll go with the Hulk. And then for generalists, I'll say Mockingbird is extremely powerful and I do like her. But I guess my favorite would be, for a small time there, it would have been Moon Knight. But I guess it's going to have to be Mockingbird. Alright, I think that's it. I think I covered all the classes. But I do have to say, if you haven't noticed, I love characters that have a bunch of options. So basically those multifunction characters, other than Punisher, I'm not a huge fan of him in the game. In the comics he's awesome, but I just don't like him that much in this game. But anyways, the reason that I do love those multifunction characters, and the ones that have a lot of different abilities that you can use, is because it can seem like an entirely different match every time you use them. There's not like a step-by-step turn order that you're going to use every single battle. Alright, next question. What agent setup would you suggest for teaming with Dr. Doom? I don't have the Mystic or the Cube. This type of question really can only be answered if I knew what you have available. I could tell you the Neurotrope, the Warbringer Axe, and all these different things, but if you don't have them, it's really not going to help you out. But as far as Dr. Doom, he can do a ton of things himself. He can restore stamina and health, he can weaken the opponents, he can stun them, he can gain a follow-up attack, and he boosts his own stats. Plus he has a Chaos Shot. So do you really need a specific set of items? I don't think you do. I would recommend just using whatever your best item setup is, and then just going from there. Dr. Doom's probably going to be your MVP anyway. What is my defense team? Well, it's Juggernaut and Quicksilver. They're still winning sometimes, and some days are better than others. But I really don't worry about switching it up that much, because at least in my bracket and my level rating, the last day or two is all that matters. Is sandbagging a good thing? I don't know if you can necessarily say it's a good thing, but it does make PvP and gaining a higher league a lot easier. If you want my honest opinion, I would recommend sandbagging at least a little bit, because I'll tell you in my experience, and I do plan on making a video talking about what I would do differently, but in my experience, I leveled to 300 way too fast. I wasn't even close to having all my heroes at level 12, and then they raised the cap to 13. And soon, it's going to go to the 14. So I'm never catching up with these level 300s, and it really does hurt me in PvP, especially on defense. So that's probably my biggest regret. I would have leveled my heroes more, and went a little bit slower to level 300. Next question. Could you make a list of what the upcoming costumes and heroes are going to be? Yes, I can do that. Here are what I know of so far. Iceman will be the next Spec Ops character, and he's going to come with a new alternate costume. It will be the Horseman of Death costume, and then 3 other characters are also getting a Horseman costume. Beast is going to be Pestilence, Rogue will be Famine, and X-23 is going to be War. The Season 2 Chapter 4 reward is going to be Mrs. Marvel and a Captain Marvel alternate. Rogue is going to get another alternate costume, a future alternate. There was mention of a Deadpool and Scarlet Witch alt. And lastly, that I know of, there will be a future alternate for Magic as well. And that costume is going to be like an uncanny costume. In PvP, I use Punisher and Sabretooth. Should I replace Punisher with someone else? Yes. I would go with Nico or Elektra or Wolverine or X-23, someone with bleeds, or Nico. Or you could try another character with exploit attrition or a lot of dots. What are my thoughts on Nico so far? Her health seems incredibly low. It is very low, but you could use Stalwart, that'll give her health, attack, and defense. Or even just focus on defense. Trust me, once you use her level 9, she is actually harder to kill than you would imagine. Also, equip her with the Resonant and Powered Ice 08, so she'll gain back health every time she uses a magic attack. Usually Nico outlives everyone else on my team, and I'm not even kidding when I say that. Do you think that they will release Rescue for 200 CP? Yes, I'm sure that they'll release her sometime in the future, just like they've been doing with all the other ones. As far as choosing Havoc or Rescue, well, for one, I have no idea when they'll release Rescue, and two, they're very different characters. If you want someone who's a heavy attacker and can one-shot someone, then Havoc's your man. Should I buy Havoc, or wait and get Dr. Doom and buy 2 times 90 CP characters? I would say to buy 2 90 CP characters, but it does depend on who you have and who you don't have. Havoc is definitely worth getting, but if you don't have a bunch of characters, like the Hulk and Thor, then you might as well go for volume. They're incredible heroes as well, and you'll get 2 of them for the price of 1. How do I choose my defense PvP team? Well, that depends on a number of things. Oh, and look here, we got a CVE right after we beat someone, so that's going to count as a loss. And now I had to restart my game and continue the restart because it wouldn't even show up. But anyways, back to the PvP and the question. How to choose a defensive team? Well, that depends on, first off, which heroes you have. It depends on their level as well, so you want to have pretty high level heroes. The higher the better, because you'll have more ISO 8, and that'll make them stronger. And you'll also want access to all of your abilities, especially your level 9. At least in most cases, Dr. Doom was kind of an exception. Next, it's going to depend on what bracket you're in. So what's your rating, and what level are you? If you can figure out what everyone else is using at your rating, then you can build a defensive team to counter that. So if you suspect there's a lot of Scrapper Quicksilvers, for instance, you don't want to have an Infiltrator team. You would do quite well by equipping your agent with a Bruiser costume at that point. If everything else fails and you really can't figure it out, then go ahead and use whatever you're losing to. So for example, if you see that you're losing to a defensive team and they seem insanely strong, then feel free to copy it. There's nothing they can do about it. You can use exactly what anyone else is using. And trust me, this is what's done in PvP. Just about everyone does it, so there's no reason to feel guilty. Do whatever you have to do to win on defense. The AI gives you such a handicap that I stopped feeling bad about whatever a long time ago. As long as you're not glitching or exploiting. Next question. How do you feel about Dr. Doom basically eventually being used with different heroes? Truthfully, I wouldn't like it. They would have to completely change Dr. Doom, and basically acknowledge that the entire concept was a failure. That being the concept of one hero counting as 2, and being kind of like his own team. They would have to rework everything about him, especially including his stats. And I like him the way he is. I think if anything, they could just fine-tune him, make him immune to obsolete tech, maybe lower that Doom cannon, or I mean the countdown of the Doom cannon, and then go from there. But I wouldn't like using him with someone else. He would be completely changed at that point. And I commend PD on doing something differently with the character. They really tried something completely different for Dr. Doom, and if anyone can handle the burden of counting as 2 characters, it's Doom. And the next question is, who should I use with Havoc in PvP? Well, personally, I used to use Captain Britain, but any Paragon Exploiter would do quite well with him, and you could try out someone like Mockingbird. Speaking from experience, that seems to be a pretty good team. You could also use his brother Cyclops, that's a pretty good team as well. Oh, and since there's a ton of suggestions, I'll just go ahead and say one more. Him and Thor can make an insanely fast kill team. But anyways, he's not that difficult to match up. You can use a number of different characters, and he'll be just fine. What is your top 3 favorite heroes, and why? Now this is another one of those really difficult questions for me, because I love so many characters in the game. For the longest time there, I would have said Phoenix, hands down. But for now, let's go with Dr. Doom. He's just awesome in-game and out. He's one of my favorite villains of all time, and he's very powerful in the game. He has a bunch of different options because he has all those multi-function abilities, and I have a lot of fun using them. Next would be Deadpool. I love seeing huge numbers, and that happy to see you is definitely capable of that. And lastly, since the question was, what's your top 3 favorite heroes? Since it didn't say it had to be on game performance, I have to say Spider-Man. He's been my favorite hero since I was a kid, and I am going to start using him a lot more in this game. Mainly because I got his Tangling and Powered ISO 8, and all I need to do is level him to 13, so I'm in the process of doing that right now. After that, I guarantee he's going to be a pretty formidable character, and I'll definitely be able to win with him. So stay tuned for some future videos featuring Spidey. Hey King, are there any current limited edition weapons that are worth the gold? I would have to say no, sadly, but I will try to keep everyone up to date when one becomes available. Any idea when they'll release Domino, and which empowered ISO should I use on Dr. Doom? Domino is going to come out as soon as this tournament's over, and as far as empowered ISO for Dr. Doom, I would use the one that gives you a shield. I think that's Savant's. And then after that, you could try the distant empowered ISO 8, because he does have ranged attacks. The resonant one will work as well since he does have 2 magic attacks for his level 2. What is the best PvP heroes now for 90 CP? And you're thinking of buying Dr. Voodoo. Well, I would say definitely get him. He is one of the best characters right now, especially when used in the right situation, with Nightcrawler or with the Mystic. Other 90 CP characters that are really good, well, I would have to include Hulk and Thor, even though you're going to want to get their alternate costumes. Captain Britain used to be good, and I've been thinking about using him with Moonstone, and that's because his smashing stun attack will only hit people that aren't flyers, while Moonstone will ground everyone. So after she makes them heavy, he should be able to stun them. And then the other thing is she also increases melee attacks, which Captain Britain has. So that's going to be a future team I'm going to try out, and you may want to give it a shot as well. Other than that, I'm really not sure which characters you have or don't have, but I hope that I helped. Alright, and this one's pretty much going to be the finale. It has a ton of questions, and I will answer quite a few of them, hopefully as many as possible before this ends. These questions all come from Spark Mac, and he's a long-time viewer and subscriber. First question, where are you from? I'm from Pennsylvania, and that's in the United States. Why is your name Kingfisher 745? Well, it started out as the King of Fishers, or the King of all Fishers, and it was basically just a joke. Because trust me, I'm not that cocky, but I kind of would say that because me and my family members and friends, we like to do a lot of fishing. And I started catching quite a few fish, and sometimes I would catch the most. So I just started kidding around and saying I was the king. I do realize it's also a bird, so that's a pretty cool thing as well. And the 745, it actually doesn't mean anything. Some time ago, when I had to choose an email for Comcast, I tried to get one, and it was taken. So they gave me 745 on the end, and I just stuck with it. Next, if you could be any Marvel hero or villain, who would you want to be? Well, I'd love to say Spider-Man because he is my favorite, and has been since I was a little kid. But I would probably go with Dr. Doom. I just think Dr. Doom's amazing, he's probably my favorite villain, and he's a genius. Hulk, Namor, Silver Surfer, those are all some honorable mentions. If you could add one new feature to MAA, what would it be? It would be a second character training slot. I think that's the one thing that we need more than anything else in this game. When did you first start playing Marvel Avengers Alliance? Well, I believe it was back in the Avengers vs. X-Men Special Operations, but I didn't take it that seriously until it was time for Ghost Rider Spec Ops. The next question is, how did you find the game, and did someone introduce you? I actually was introduced to it by a good friend, actually my best friend, and he was already playing it, and he was buying a ton of characters with money, and he kind of got me started. Eventually I ended up passing him up even though he had something like 70 levels on me, and after that he kind of quit playing, and everything else is history. And since this one's coming to an end, I'm going to have to answer most of these questions in the next Q&A. But I did want to focus on, did you ever expect your YouTube channel to get this big? And the answer is no. I had no idea it would grow like this. The only goal of mine was to post videos and continue to get better as far as commentary, content, and quality. And that really has been the focus. And hopefully I am getting better, but I just can't believe that we're at 6,000 subscribers. I never dreamed of it, and I appreciate all the support. Obviously, I never could have done it without all of you, all the viewers, the subs, liking, posting comments, and sharing the videos. So let me just end with thank you very much for 6,000 subs, and for all the kind words. I do try to read all of your comments, and they're very encouraging. Truthfully, there have been times when I've doubted this channel, and your support keeps me going. So thank you all for watching, and as long as you keep watching and keep supporting the channel, I'll continue to post videos.